Reddit, how did your first kiss go? I was 14 and she grabbed me and she whacked her teeth against mine. She was pretty embarrassed because it was her first kiss also, so we just laughed it off and tried again. I ended up dating that girl for almost 2 years and then she cheated on me. What a romantic story. When I was in year 3 I got married to a girl at school. Once the ceremony was finished I gave her the lightest peck on the lips and ran off to play Red Rover with the boys. Priorities. Horrible. It was in an abandoned building and his tongue was like a windmill. AKA the cyclone. Homecoming freshman year. Wore too much makeup and a horrible velvet dress. The hottest guy on the swim team had been flirting with me for weeks. Went outside to his car to say goodbye. He kissed me and I all but melted. Like a bad paperback romance, the world went silent. All I could feel were his warm lips and the cool Alaskan air. When he pulled back he said, "You really need to learn how to do that." It was horrible. What an butthole. Truth or dare, in 7th grade. It was her first kiss too. And we just sort of sloppily drooled all over each other while 6 other kids awkwardly cheered for us. Then the weird kid Nick ate a caterpillar. Classic Nick. Life of the party. She cried from joy. It was unexpected actually. Came out of nowhere. Her lips were cold and soft. Time for my minister's daughter story. So I was friends with the minister's daughter and we were at the playground. Probably so our moms could gossip or whatever. She wanted to play house so I went along with it. We got married. I kissed the bride. No big deal. First kiss. Like a boss. Then she wants kids. So you gotta frick to have kids. Cue the awkward wiggling next to each other. So we go back to our moms. She goes, "We're married and we have kids." Mom responds with, "That's wonderful honey." I blurt out, "Yeah, we fricked and everything." All of a sudden my wife is gone and I'm getting yelled at. I was never allowed to play with my wife again. Also, if anyone ever asks, that was the first time I fricked. Lots of wiggling and awkward. Didn't get out of my pants. Probably a good thing though. Yes. Forget asking the details and realizing most children don't have a clue. Let's just scream at them instead. Some parents are just stupid. Terrible. He tasted like Cheetos. It ain't easy been cheesy. Amazing. Best kiss I've ever had. My family and her family have been close for a long time and we've known each other forever. Our families were on vacation together in Key West, Florida, and we were alone one night on a pier. We had both hinted at liking each other for a while and it just happened. I passed out about 5 seconds after the kiss. The kiss lasted about 30 seconds. I woke up on a park bench with her sitting over me asking if I was okay. She and I are still close in a more than friendship way to this day, but sadly due to distance it's never gone anywhere. The kiss lasted about 30 seconds. I like to imagine that it was just one single kiss stretched out to be that long. Both people starting to open their eyes a little bit, wondering if they're supposed to do anything. You know, this is kinda depressing. Most everyone is talking about some experience. Usually around ages 13 to 16 people here seem to have their first. And here's 17-year-old me still waiting for that moment. It's almost worrying. I was 17 for my first kiss, so don't feel bad. And it was just awful. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Was moving. Went to neighborhood's girl's house. It was me, my friend, her, and her friend. Can't remember exactly what was said. I was like 14. But we ended up making out on the back porch and I sucked her boobies. Then we went inside and I asked her friend out and we dated for a few months. It could have been worse. Good ole back porch titty suck. Drunk but was told she was hot the next day, so yay. It was raining. It added to the passion in the air. We touched hands. We moved in closer. I bit her tongue. She ran off. It went okay. She flashed me then kissed me. It was great. I was in the 8th grade and I used that memory to jack off all the way into high school. For some reason when I read jack off all the way into high school, the thought of it literally bringing you to high school, like a mode of transportation, popped into my head. So now I'm just laughing my butt off imagining some sort of jack off helicopter. 6th grade Julietta, she had a mustache. My friends still sometimes call me Mario Lover. She was a few years older and had a car. One time while we were in her car, We got into one of those steamy charged tickle fights and she just went for it while she was jamming her tongue into my mouth. I spent the whole time thinking, holy crap, this is happening. Pretty awesome experience overall. It was horrible. I thought you had to French kiss and I thought that meant doing all sorts of flipping and twirling motions with my tongue. I was 13 at a church dance and I convinced a girl to be my girlfriend. From there it was 45 seconds of the most distrusting and overbearing tongue assault known to mankind. Within 15 hours she broke up with me. I learned that kissing should be a bit more civil. My mom called me and said she was waiting outside for me. He said, so I know your mom's here but wanna make out? Inside joke. I told him yes and he wanted me to make the first move. So I pecked him and then proceeded to run away like a scared little girl. Our 3-year anniversary is this Monday. My pillow just lay there. In all seriousness, we were at a movie and I had just taken a sip of Mountain Dew when she surprised me. It did not go well. It was a couple weeks ago. I had just started going out with a beautiful girl. Hair red like fire. She was basically a live version of Merida. We trespassed onto a corn farm in the afternoon. Being the baddest suburban upstate New York teenagers that we are. After exploring this farm, we found a small pond with a dock on it, and we sat down to talk right as the sun started to go down. Her hair lit up. The sunset made her almost glow. We talked for a long time, progressively moving closer together on that small wooden dock. After laughing at the ducks in the pond be ducks and crap, we eventually locked eyes. It was one of those ultra dramatic kisses, where it builds up slowly until the music swells right as our lips touched. Easily the highlight of my summer. I must be a super crappy kisser though, because she broke up with me a week later. You know nothing, Jon Snow. It was either right before or right after my 16th birthday. My best friend and my ex-boyfriend's best friend were also dating at the time, so all 4 of us were watching a movie. My ex and I were all snuggled up on the floor watching the movie, and at some point that night my first kiss happened. I honestly don't remember it too well. I do remember him telling me later that all he thought during was, wow, she's done this before. I hadn't. I'm pretty sure she had been waiting on me to go for it for hours, and meanwhile I was saying how I should probably get to bed. In my defense, it was 3:30 in the morning. She said something along the lines of, come on, just stay with me, please, and got all close and looked up at me with those big eyes of hers. And I had this instantaneous realization of that's the look. That look that everyone always says you'll recognize when the time comes. She gave me the look and I didn't miss it like an idiot. So I kissed her. I definitely didn't know what I was doing. I could tell she was doing way more with her lips and possibly even her tongue than I was. For reference, I was 22 and a few months from finishing college without ever having the least bit of success with women, and she was 25. So it was a big difference in experience. Basically the whole time I was just in total awe at how warm her mouth was. I don't know how long it lasted, probably not too long, and I was worried I did badly, but she smiled after, so it couldn't have been too terrible. This sound romantic? I'm 15. Not happened yet. Not in any particular rush. Maybe this Saturday. I had my first at 15. A word of advice. Please make sure it is with a good girl, otherwise, your brain will confuse that feeling you get when you kiss her with love, and I promise, it'll go downhill from there. Lust is powerful, you just gotta learn the difference between it and love. Spin the bottle. In the summer between 7th and 8th grade, my neighbor girl, I had a thing for spun and it landed on me. The kiss was nothing more than a peck, and while I was pretty excited for a day, eventually I realized it meant nothing. Fast forward a couple months, I manned up and asked her to the 8th grade dance. Now that was a better time. Mostly I just remember thinking, holy crap, what was that, and then realizing it was her tongue. It was okay, I guess, considering he's invisible and all. It went absolutely horrible. It was a first kiss for both of us. Both of us closed our eyes. He opened his mouth and I didn't. The result was a tongue up my nose. I do not recommend the experience. When I was an elementary kid, I was accompanying a black classmate to the restrooms since we both had to go. Since I was done before her, I told her that I'm waiting for her to finish. She said thanks and kissed me when she got out. Fast forward 16 years later and she became hot. I'm not, sadly. I would high-five my 6-year-old self for being a gentleman. A black girl classmate. Man, that's some awkward typing you do. I leaned over and kissed her and she screamed bloody murder. I was expelled from school after being threatened by the police and her mother with being arrested. I was 5 and had the hugest crush on this girl. She did not reciprocate. Wait, expelled and almost arrested, and you were 5. People are freaking idiots. On the tree stump in her backyard under the moonlight after a date. Then I turned gay. That did sound pretty gay. It was actually this year. I'm 19. There is hope, guys. He walked with me until I got home. Then before we said goodbye he stopped in front of me and we were looking at each other. It was then that I realized that I wouldn't be able to avoid it. No, not that I didn't want to. It just took me courage and getting out of my comfort zone. So we kissed. It was actually not good, but wasn't bad either. I had no idea what I was doing. The fact was better than the kiss. Since then, it got so much better. We've been together for a little more than 2 months. Yay. My first real kiss was my husband when we were dating, and it wasn't great. We are so much better at it now, 6 years later. My first kiss was in 1st grade and I totally count it because of the following reasons. First off, it was completely intentional. She was the line leader for recess. I was right behind her in line. We were like elementary school boyfriend-girlfriend, maybe 6 or 7, circa 2000-1. The teacher gives the go-ahead to start inside the building. She grabs my hand and we sprint to the room. A few people followed us, so she takes me behind the teacher's chair telling me she lost something under her desk. Little do I know, she didn't lose crap. She turns me to face her, grabs my shirt, pulls me towards her, and just plants one on me. I also count it because it lasted about 8 seconds or so. It wasn't like a peck. She full on kissed me. First girl I ever kissed gave me Moana. I was 12. It was my best friend, before he was my best friend, and Valentine's Day. At the time I'd only known him a few weeks. I was around a foot taller than him, so he had to stand on his tiptoes to do it. It was adorable. I was 11 years old, he was 13. We will call my first kiss guy N. The state fair was going on, and N's dad was a traveling sunglasses salesman, so he spent his summer going to fairs and carnivals and flea markets with his dad, selling shades. My grandpa does a similar thing, and I was spending my days helping my grandpa at his vendor booth, which happened to be right across from the booth N's dad had. The last night of fair, my grandpa gave my brother and I the night off and let us go ride rides and such. N and his brother were told the same by their dad. The 4 of us had a very fun night, and then at the end of the night, N asked me to ride the Ferris wheel with him. When we were at the top, he kissed me. It was very cute. It was also the last time I ever saw him. We're friends on Facebook, still talk from time to time. He doesn't like girls. He came out about his orientation when he was 17, but still tells me if he had to kiss a girl, he'd want it to be me. It was at a dance and awkward. After, all my friends came up and they were like dude, and I shrugged like a boss. Classy. We got stuck in the which side do you put your head to dance for a good while our mates awkwardly watched us. I then had to pretend his runny nose didn't touch my face. We were 13. It was fine and everything, but I later realized that it took place in front of a K jewelers. Their slogan is every kiss begins with K, so I probably looked like a living advertisement. It was sometime in the future. Keep up that optimism. My first one took me completely by surprise. I was 14 and I had recently got a girlfriend who went to another school. We were sitting in a park and I asked her if she had kissed a guy before. She said yeah once. Then she asked if I had. I said no. Then I said, would you like to be my first one, and she said of course. Then it happened. To be honest, I had no idea what the frick I was doing. There was no technique, no nothing, just my tongue pretty much sitting in her mouth moving a little bit. But after it, I felt like I had lost my virginity or something. I felt great. It was pretty average, I guess, for a first kiss. It was during a break of a musical rehearsal that our high school was putting on. I was sitting with a girl I liked at the time and we had a mutual crush going on, but nothing really came of it. Anyways, she asked if I'd been kissed before and I replied with no, and she asked if I wanted to. It was quick but I'll never forget it. A week later she stopped showing interest because I was too clingy, and a year and a half later I find out she's pregnant. Glad I have nothing to do with that. Back in middle school, this girl changed her mind about dating me a couple days after I asked her out. As middle schoolers do, I was heartbroken and burst into tears. She didn't know what to do, so she leant forward and said, "If it makes you feel any better, you can tell everybody you got a kiss from me." She gave me a quick peck and then she awkwardly walked away. It was truly magical. A lot of saliva everywhere. That was probably a dog. Drunk girl at a party finds out I never kissed someone before. Pulls me aside and makes out with me. Could have been worse. She's the MVP. This is the goodest flyboy. He will bring you 10 years of happiness in exchange for a like on this video. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.